This presentation is about 4 British World War II shipwrecks, all lost on the one day. April 9th, 1942, off the island of Sri Lanka. HMS Hermes and Hollyhook and the tankers Athelstane and British Sergeant. Come join these 3 geriatric garden variety tech divers as they investigate these pieces of war history.
Hi, I'm Max on the left, 72, and I will be the underwater filmmaker on this trip. Next to me is Fritz, 79. Fritz is the author of The Last New Guinea Salvage Pirate. It covers his remarkable experiences in the 60s and 70s, salvaging Japanese and Allied shipwrecks. And last is Trevor Burridge. At 64, he's the baby of the group, another long-term diver that has skippered his own boat to many locations in the Pacific. 12 hours ago we landed in Colombo, so after a sleepover we were about to embark on a 325 kilometre trip to the other side of the island. Lots of sights on the road. Some you would expect, others a little more unusual. 8 hours later, we reached our destination for the next 6 nights, the Deep Sea Divers Resort situated on the shores of the Batacaloa Lagoon. That afternoon, we set up our dive gear and nitrox stage bottles for the dive the next day. The Hermes sits at a maximum depth of 53 metres or 173 feet. In the dive shop was a huge detailed plan of the Hermes, which we all studied in anticipation of the next day.
Hermes was the first purpose-built aircraft carrier. Largely outdated by more modern vessels at the start of World War II, she joined the Eastern Fleet in 1942 off Sri Lanka, formerly known as Ceylon. Forced out to sea, hoping to avoid being caught in port by Japanese aircraft, that's exactly what happened to her and her escort HMAS Vampire.
Under the eye of royalty in these parts, we loaded our gear into 2 boats and set off for the 10-minute run to the bar entrance and out to the Indian Ocean. From there, it's a 15-minute run out to the wreck. As you can see, sea conditions look great.
It was at this position where the battle took place. The Hermes and her escort HMAS Vampire against scores of Val dive bombers. Both ships foundered within 10 minutes of each other, Hermes taking the lives of 307 men, the Vampire 8, including her skipper. Despite searches to find her, the Australian destroyer has never been located. She is thought to be in very deep water.
The first view is the side of the hull and the most magnificent forest of black coral trees that I've ever seen. There is only one reason why they would be so abundant, and that's the existence of strong currents, and this wreck has a reputation for them. The 2 recesses in the hull seen here once housed a lifeboat each. We dived the Hermes on 6 occasions on our stay. Sadly, only 2 were really suitable for filming. Looking down the hull towards the stern, the wreck is teeming with yellow snapper. In the distance, one of Hermes' 5.5-inch guns points skyward. Its outward position indicates it was in use during the battle, but one wonders how effective it would have been in the vessel's fight for survival. A nice view from above, looking directly down the gun barrel. The Hermes was fitted with 6 of these weapons. This is the only one left in its original condition. A row of closed portholes can be seen running along the hull. With Trevor and Fritz just doing a little bit of exploring. The forest of black coral trees attached to the hull gives a great hiding spot for marine life. Broken parts of the hull are covered in a kaleidoscope of colour. With the sea running over her flight deck, Hermes photographer Charles Morgan took this photograph. It shows the centre island deckhouse minutes before going under. Now detached from the hull, it sits intact on the ocean floor. One can only imagine the orders given by Captain Richard Onslow from this area. He never survived the sinking. I'm actually being pushed along by the current in this clip. Still attached to the deckhouse is what appears to be an antenna. The lights of the camera bringing out the amazing colours nature can produce. Around the circumference, scores of juvenile fish call the structure home. The Hermes became aware of a possible air attack that morning. At 8 a.m, 2 hours before the battle, 10 out of the 11 aircraft left the ship and landed ashore. From a photographer's point of view, that's a shame. They would have been found here, on the sand, and what a great subject that would have been. Bathroom facilities in the bow of the ship. The propellers, the ultimate icon in any shipwreck. I was surprised how small they were for such a large vessel. With Fritz's former life earning his living from precious metals on lost World War II wrecks, I couldn't help but think, if this was 50 years ago, what would be the fate of the Hermes 2 propellers? More likely on their way back to Singapore to be melted down. Preservation of shipwrecks was not even thought of at that time. It's just the way it was. Returning to the lagoon, the Batalakoa lighthouse is up ahead and the Hermes part of our trip is over. Tomorrow we're heading up the coast, some 15 kilometres. The next morning we took a 45-minute car ride north to a 5-star resort on Mankini Beach while the dive crew brought the boats down. Sea conditions were excellent once again for the 15-minute run out to another victim of the April the 9th air attacks. The oil tanker, the British Sergeant. The 122-metre long vessel was blown in two and now rests in 24 metres of water. The ship's stern. Most of the plating has dropped off, giving a clear view inside the hull. The water clarity was very disappointing at this wreck. Underwater photography is a challenge for so many reasons. The boys weren't too impressed with this wreck. Fritz, he either loves them or he hates them. Personally, I didn't mind it. This is a big vessel of over 400 foot long, and we didn't get a chance to investigate all of it. On a clearer day, it could have offered better results. The rear half of the wreck lies upright. Then, after a separation of 5 metres, the upturned front section comes into view. It's huge. I rose from the sand to the top, pulling myself along the keel in the current. Then back to the sand again, returning past many interesting openings that we never got the chance to explore. Up early the next day for another car ride, this time south, some 38 kilometres. The boats were already there upon our arrival. Before departing, we enjoyed some local culture with a cup of genuine Ceylon tea at the local dive shop. Today's destination is another 2 shipwrecks sunk that fateful day in April 1942. The Athelstane and her escort, the Flower-class corvette HMS Hollyhock. That class of corvette was featured in one of the finest ever sea dramas, The Cruel Sea, made in 1953. Caught by Japanese aircraft just hours after the loss of Hermes and the Vampire, the ships found at 800 metres apart. We descended down the line to the Hollyhock, sitting in 40 metres of water. First sight was the remains of the stern. Visibility was about 20 metres with a moderate current. The corvette blew up when a bomb went down her funnel, resulting in the complete destruction of the ship. 53 lives were lost. The corvette's engine, and her single boiler. Looking at this severed part of the hull, it's not hard to understand how quickly she foundered. I entered an opening amidships and made my way forward. This object caught my eye. If anybody knows what it is, I'd appreciate to hear your thoughts in the comments. Near the very tip of the bow, some amazing colours and growth with marine life. An about face in mid-water, and I started making my way back to where I had entered. This is a really good little shipwreck, but you just can't do it justice with only one dive filming. To the layman, this looks like any other piece of wreckage. However, our resident salvage expert has pointed it out as a ship's condenser with an estimated weight of 6 tonnes, and in his words, worth a small fortune. Looking down on the remains of the bow, Time to head back to the anchor. Sadly, not enough time to film everything I wished. Later that afternoon, we dived the Athelstane, sitting in 38 metres of water. I don't think I've ever dived a stronger current in 51 years diving. Even the fish were suffering. I have not included any footage from that dive, as it was impossible to hover in mid-water to film without getting washed away. As such, many great subjects on this big shipwreck were not captured. If you're like us, seeking new places to dive, this side of Sri Lanka is well worth the effort. It's no truck lagoon, but there's plenty of variety of it. As well as the Hermes, I would definitely like to spend several days diving the Hollyhook and Athelstane. Felly and his staff at the Deep Sea Divers Resort was safe, efficient and always on time. They went to a lot of effort to organise the trips up and down the coast. And by the way, we all paid full fare for this trip. As for the cultural side, it's always a pleasure to experience new things.